Okay, so I have a piece of lace and I'm going to place it as though it were at the edge of a table, like that. And I think it's a good idea to secure it with a bit of tape so it won't wiggle. There we go. And now what we're going to do is mix up kind of the shadow side of that. So I know it has blue in it, and I know it has purple in it. Maybe a little darker because it's on the shadow side. Okay, that might do it. So what I'm going to do is wet, really wet the lace. So I've got my puddle of color. I'm laying my brush down on the side so I can get maximum wet paint on there. And I have to be sure that I get it plenty painted, because if I don't, it won't print. Sometimes I even lift up underneath. This is a good idea too. And dampen the bottom with a little bit of color. This also helps the lace to stick on it. It's not going to stick on it forever because we'll take it off eventually, but we want it to stick on it long enough to dry and leave a lace print. Okay, so I see I need more paint. No problem. I remember how to mix it up. Some blue and some of this rosy red. Load my brush, slide it along the lace. Mix up some more if I need to. Make sure I get all of that lace covered with soggy paint. And I'm pulling that color all the way down to the tape. Just to be sure, I'm going to add a little bit more paint over all this. Now I'm going to show you another little tiny trick that I like. Making sure that this area down here is wet too, because if I tip it, it's gonna float down and look a little bit like it's got some shape to it. Gravity's doing that for me. You might remember I said if you tap, 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 more paint will come off. Tap, tap, tap. And I'm choosing where the lace comes up to do my tap, tap, tapping. Tap, tap, tap. This only works when it's wet. That's why I made sure that my paper was wet and that I have a lot of paint on my brush. Let's see if I have enough to get away with this. Okay, oh, that's looking pretty good. You can also take a brave move and tip it backwards, but watch that it doesn't fly up in here. Give that a little drink, that a little drink. All right, and I want to be done before it dries. That looks pretty good. All right, now we're going to set that in the sun and see what happens. I did. Okay, now let's take this dry lace off. It looks good. But I see that there's a little area here. I might put a little glaze of this very same color that we have already mixed up. Might put a little light glaze, not too much. And I might glaze that over the shadow of the onion so that it kind of ties it together. Using just the tip of my brush. And then I'm going to turn it upside down because I want to use just the point of my brush to come in here and fill in those little white speckles. You could say I'm almost stabbing that in there. And here, and I'm going to make it lighter when I do that, but I'm just going to go along that edge and lightly, lightly touch that. And you can see where it's kind of an abrupt line there. So the way to fix that is wet your brush, wipe your brush on your tissue, and lay it down starting in the dry. And see how that'll just gradually pull that up? I think that's good. All right. Maybe I'll just add a little teeny bit of color and darkness right where the onion dents in there. Adds a little bit of emphasis. I think we did it. Let's take the tape off and see. And just to remind you, you don't have to do the same kind of fruit that I did. You get to decide. The thing I care about is that you're going to try this lace technique. Low slowing away when you take the tape off so it doesn't tear into your painting. There we go.